Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I'm Darshan Usman. The headlines at this hour. President Boakai suffers heat exhaustion after taking oath. Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff advocates broad-based approach to Nigeria's security challenges. Cameroon stampede, many dead, 106 injured at senior high school in Yaoundé. Details and more shortly. News Central now at this hour begins in West Africa, where the inauguration of Liberia's new president, Joseph Boakai, was on Monday marked by the 79-year-old leader's brief spell of exhaustion due to soaring temperatures. Boakai, whose age and health are the source of much discussion in the West African country, had to pause to sit down to finish his address in front of the parliament in Monrovia, where foreign delegations and local officials had gathered. Secretary General of Boakai's party, Amos Twe, said heat exhaustion contributed to the few minutes of disruption in his speech, but the speech ended successfully and the president was advised by the doctors to come home as a result of that. He added that the president has resumed his normal presidential duties.
That when we work hard together as a country, there is nothing that history has imposed upon us, including the fundamental problem that we cannot overcome. It will ensure we rebuild the broken infrastructure and improve the delivery of health social services, such as combating the drug epidemic prevailing our youth and eating away the future of our country.
My expectation is I see a better Liberia. I expect good governance and the rule of law and the fight against corruption. As a matter of fact, the president inaugurated today is an icon of integrity who has worked in the Liberian government for over 42 years with no corruption charges. So we believe that he will fight corruption, he will bring Liberia back to the international contacts that we have earlier on lost.
Meanwhile, Liberia's political landscape undergoes a historic transformation as Joseph Boakai, at 79, becomes the country's oldest sitting president. News Central sought the reaction of some of those present at the inauguration.
Happy to see this wonderful day of the President of the Republic of Liberia, Ambassador Nyesom Wike, and Vice President Jeremiah Kwan. This is a celebration of the Liberian people. We have seen the peaceful transfer of power from former President George Weah to President Joseph Wike.
It's an exciting moment for Liberia. The country is back, and particularly I'm interested in the fact that there will be a new reordering of this country. The country is now finding the right path, accountability in governance, responsible leadership, integrity, unity, integration of the entire populace of Liberia. It's an exciting moment for me personally and for Liberia generally.
I believe today marks a historic day in our region, with Liberia setting a very good democratic precedent, a peaceful transfer of power. And I believe it's of good footing we have started on.
Let's now head to Nigeria, where the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, has advocated the use of the non-kinetic approach in ongoing fight against criminality. He says no fewer than 2,000 Boko Haram terrorists, through a non-kinetic approach, surrendered to troops in the height of insurgency in the country. Musa spoke while delivering a lecture at the opening of the National Security Course on Psychological Operations and Strategic Communication on Monday in Abuja. He was represented by the Director of Training, Defense Headquarters, Duprier Matthew. Musa, however, said the military has upscaled the use of hard and soft power in counterinsurgency operations to contain emerging and changing nature of adversaries. Still talking insecurity, the kidnapped daughters of the Al-Qadriyas, abducted on 2nd January 2024 at the Buhari Area Council of Nigeria's capital Abuja, have finally been reunited with their family. Inside sources say a 70 million naira ransom was paid to effect their release, though the Nigerian police force is claiming this followed a joint operation between the police and the military. Marvelous Obomanu visited the family and tells us more.
What is the taste of freedom? And how does it feel to be confined in an unknown place for 18 days? This is the story of El Qadriya and his 5 daughters that were kidnapped from their home in the Buhari Area Council, a suburb of Nigeria's Federal Capital Territory, on January the 2nd, following the inability to raise a 60 million naira ransom as demanded by the kidnappers. One of the 5 girls, Nabiha El Qadriya, was murdered in cold blood, which sparked a national uproar. With the ransom finally paid, the other 4 girls, alongside 7 other captives from 4 different families, were finally reunited with their loved ones.
Immediately, my friend discovered that there is a robbery attack. That's what he presumed it was. He put a distress call to his junior brother, Abdul Fatai, and that one immediately swung into action. He contacted the police, mobilized the police. He went to the scene of but unfortunately, they were ambushed. He was gunned down.
This is the exact junction where police operatives and the kidnappers had a gun duel. Unfortunately, a younger brother to the victim, Abdul Fattah, lost his life. And then, of course, the 3 mobile police officers who came with him for the rescue operation were badly injured. And then 2 days after, one of the police officers lost his life. Now, if you look closely, we can still see some broken glasses on the ground. News Central visited the residence of the El Qadriyas as part of its efforts to follow up on the case. Now we're here at this compound, and what we noticed so far when we came here is that we can still see some broken, glasses on the floor. And of course, when you look at this particular building, right through into the wall was where a bullet penetrated inside. And of course, we also seen that the place where these kidnappers made their way into the compound is obviously showing at that gate side where you see those barbed wires folded down.
This is the state capital, and all this is happening at the nose of the federal government.
It is one too many cases of kidnapping in the Buhari Area Council and across the federal capital, Nigeria's seat of power, which many say ought to be the safest place in the country. They say the location of the kidnappers are known to residents and security agencies, but wonder why they are not being flushed out.
These guys it's a stone throw here. From here, you can't drive 15 minutes. That's their enclaves. They are there, as if they have found their own colony there.
I will just kindly solicit the approval of federal government for the bandits to grant them CAC approval so that we will know that they are an established institution for business.
Although the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory has warned against paying ransom to kidnappers. However, this becomes a tall order if you face a similar situation like the El Qadriyas. Citizens say government should instead live up to its responsibility and ensure the protection of lives and property. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obomanu.
Thank you, Marvelous, for that report. Now, the Federal High Court in Abuja has nullified the 800 billion naira 2024 budget signed into law by Rivers State Governor Simi Fubara. In December, the governor presented an 800 billion naira 2024 appropriation bill to a faction of the State House of Assembly comprising 4 lawmakers. Following the passage of the budget by the lawmakers, Fubara subsequently signed the budget into law. The Rivers Assembly became factionalized following a move by 27 lawmakers loyal to ex-Governor Nyesom Wike to impeach Fubara. The presiding judge, James Omotosho, held that everything done by the 4 lawmakers was null and void. The court also recognized Martin Amaewhule as the Speaker of the State Assembly. Earlier, Vincent Otakpukpu, a lawyer and political analyst, spoke to us on this development.
The Liberias State House of Assembly activities have been characterized with a crisis since late last year, 2023. And the then elected Speaker, Mr. Martins, and approached the Federal High Court, as plaintiff number 1, and the State Assembly and its corporate entity as plaintiff number 2. So seeking, among other things, for an order stopping the National Assembly from entertaining any question on invitation by the governor to take over the activities to make law for the people of Rivers State. 2, to stop them from any further act of impeaching him or removing him as the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, among other questions which the court considered today. Then you will recall that during the pendency of that suit, an interim order of injunction was sought by the plaintiff to preserve the rest, which the court granted on the 30th, and which the court also extended up to 7th of December 2023. Then the court warned parties to maintain status quo, not to do anything to tamper with the rest, or render which capable of rendering the judgment or any order of the court nugatory, just to preserve the rest. But while this order was in place, the Rivers State governor went ahead to present the appropriation bill before the House, that has been characterized with the crisis, which is subject matter, which is already sub judice before the court. And these 4 members, or 5 as the case they were, acted on this, seated
In southwest Nigeria, occupants of the popular Mandilas building in Lagos Island Market are counting their losses after a fire gutted the building on Sunday. Eyewitnesses believe the fire was caused by activities of a welder. They are calling on the Lagos state government to come to their aid, as some of them claim to have lost all they have. Bernard Akede filed in this report from the site of the fire.
Traders at the Mandilas building trying to salvage whatever they can from their stores after the building was gutted by fire, while others watch in sympathy. But behind the building is where the real damage done can be seen. According to official statements, the first 4 floors of this 16-story building were affected. But eyewitnesses say the fire, which was caused by the activities of a welder, went as high as the 9th floor.
Based on the information that we got, there was like a cut-out space at the back of the building, which some sure already occupied. So the landlord is trying to build another structure above what was there. So I think the welders, when they were trying to put themselves together, loose-guarded on their electrical equipment, and close to where they were working, we have the generator, the diesel and all that. So I think in that process of mismanagement of equipment, that was what caused the fire.
gbogbo tí kíní jẹnẹrétọ̀ ti ń yẹ eruku níbi palace lókè pé ohun tí bàbá yìí ṣe yìí ó lè kọ́ sí nǹkan burúkú wọn lísìn sí wa wọn lísìn wọn lọ sí ọ̀dọ̀ ẹ̀ after ọ̀dọ̀ ẹ̀ alọ́la rí àràbọ̀mọ̀ gbogbo orúkọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ò sì dá kí gọ́ọ̀mẹ̀ntì máa ṣe kò yẹ kó máa ṣe kó yẹ pé gbogbo nǹkan báyìí bí owó kò yẹ ládùúgbò yìí rárá gbogbo nǹkan tó wá fẹ́ ṣe kó máa ṣe neat.
Most shop owners were still in shock and refused to grant interviews, but for those who spoke, they asked the government to please come to their aid, as some of them have lost their entire sources of livelihood.
Actually, we don't even know what caused the fire, but when we got here, Before my husband could even park the car and go inside, the first thing we first of all got to the warehouse. Before he could get to the warehouse, everything has already burnt down. This is where we fed from. Our kids are in school. We know some of these children just resumed school. Most of us have not even started paying school fee yet. So government should come and help us. Maybe something that could just make a man stand back.
Most people in this plaza have stores, they have warehouses, and it all burnt down. There are so many people there that I don't even know their names. And their shops, their warehouses are all burnt. And the landlord is nowhere to be found. They are trying to reach him. He's not picking his calls.
Meanwhile, security operatives and other relevant agencies stand guard to ensure all shops in the area remain shut to ensure that hoodlums do not take advantage of the sad incident.
Thankfully, there were no casualties recorded in this fire. However, this again brings back questions surrounding how clustered this market is, making it difficult for fire services and other rescue workers to gain access. While not much can be done about this, the hope is that relevant authorities will put the right infrastructure in place in markets like this so that losses like this one can be avoided in the future. In Lagos, for News Central, I'm Bernard Akede.
Food vendors and end users of Styrofoam food parks have kicked against the ban imposed by the Lagos state government on single-use plastics. The state government has urged all producers, distributors and end users of Styrofoam packs to take the ban seriously and find alternatives or risk heavy fines and other penalties, including the sealing of their premises. Adeshawa Odushoga reports.
Styrofoam is an extruded polystyrene foam that is often made into insulation, packaging and food containers, such as beverage cups, egg cartons and disposable plates and trays. The most common form of styrofoam used in Nigeria are food containers, mostly used at eateries, local restaurants and even parties to package foods. But these styrofoam have now become a threat to the environment, particularly in Lagos, Nigeria, a city that generates over 13,000 metric tons of waste per day, most of which contains these plastics. They are found in canals, gutters, and sometimes, in rare cases, floating on the surfaces of flooded areas and streets. To this effect, the Lagos state government has now placed a ban on the usage of this single-use plastic with immediate effect. The State Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, who declared this via a social media platform, warned that producers of this plastic could also be made to bear the cost of the daily cleanup of their product from roads and drainage channels, which runs into tens of millions of naira daily.
So the issue also, which is our own challenge, quite frankly, is it also lies with our waste disposal system. You understand, and practices. What have we been able to get people how have we been able to get people to dispose of their waste within the system? At least being able to identify some of these single-use plastics that are recyclable and being able to dispose them in a very proper and appropriate manner that makes recycling easy.
However, some food vendors in Lagos are kicking against this ban, insisting that such a pronouncement should have been done with prior notice or a grace period.
Most of the shops that are selling all this pack, if you go to their shop, all this pack is very low, that they load it to their shop. If they said they will stop selling it, means it will affect them also. Because I don't know how they will do those markets. And the company that supplied those markets to them, I don't think they will still collect it back. They will talk to governments for them to give us more time. Then I will be happy. Because so that those that have it in the shop will at least sell it even outside Lagos. They will go and supply all those markets.
The state government, through the Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, has now called for the immediate implementation of the ban and the clampdown on production companies and distribution outlets of styrofoams across the state to prevent further distribution. In Lagos, for News Central, Adeshawa Odushoga.
Islamic scholars in Nigeria have called for increased sensitization of the dangers of same-sex unions in the country. This was as they converged on Nigeria's capital, Abuja, commending government for its continuous resistance to pressure from Western countries to legitimize the practice in the country. Idong Joseph reports.
In Nigeria, many citizens, lawmakers, preachers, and religious scholars share similar views on same-sex union, also known as lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. Nigeria, which is mainly comprised of Christians and Muslims, believe that those who identify as LGBTQ are regarded as sinners who defy the natural order, biblical tenets, and Islamic laws. This belief in 2014 prompted Nigeria's enactment of a law against same-sex marriage, prescribing a 14-year jail term for anyone attempting to go into such a union or encouraging such.
It is going to decimate the human species. It will truncate, procreation. So it will quicken the overall annihilation of, human communities. So there is nothing that has come to the human race that is an evil greater than the LGBTQ.
LGBTQ will annihilate motherhood because a woman cannot impregnate a woman. A man cannot impregnate a man. So from where did they get the idea that a man should marry a man?
For us as believers, we believe if whatever our religion asks us to abstain from, it is duty bound upon us to actually abstain from it. That is the point.
While Nigeria and many African countries have refused to bow down to pressure from Western countries to legitimize same-sex relationships, there have been counter-reactions from the West coming in the form of sanctions. In light of this, Islamic scholars in Nigeria have thrown their weight behind the government's position, calling for mass sensitization of the society on the dangers same-sex union pose to the nation.
As they are spreading pro-LGBT propaganda, we in Africa should also be promoting anti-LGBT information. We should enlighten our people.
Religious bodies and like the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs should embark on what I call massive, comprehensive, and aggressive sensitization and advocacy.
Despite countries like Angola, Botswana, Cape Verde, South Africa, and a few others now adopting anti-discrimination laws against same-sex relationships, many countries in Africa still limit their rights. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Thank you, Idong, for that report. Now, for the poor in society who find it difficult to afford health care, the term health is wealth is significant. For them, it is a huge relief when help comes in the form of free Medicare. They turn out in their numbers to access such assistance. News Central's Chinwe Ugele reports that this was the case when a non-governmental organization in partnership with the Federal Medical Center Umuahia and the Abia State government offered a 14-day free medical service to indigents of the state. Take a look.
Daily, life seems hard for the aged, poor, and disabled in the society. A lot of people in the country are unable to go to the hospital to seek medical help due to the high cost of medications and Medicare in general.
I came here last 2 years to do it. Before series of tests, the money I hold finished. They booked me for operation. Since then, I don't get money to come and do it again.
When I take in, the fibroid will just destroy the baby inside. For 4 years now, I've been married. When I take in 5 miscarriages and I went to scan, they say it's multiple fibroid. So there is no money to do the operation.
Because of the thing that happened to me in my neck here. I've been there since the day they gave birth to me.
The economic situation is a little bit tough, and then people are spending a lot of money out of pocket for healthcare. And if you don't take your time, you can get into what you refer to as catastrophic spending. And I'm sure it's in that vision that the governor aligned with us, Federal Medical Center, who is partnering with the Revive Medical Mission from Belgium to have a medical mission that will totally concentrate on the poor.
Every indigent sick person captured will be given advice and treatment.
And now is the 4th time we are in Nigeria. We went already to Anambra, I think, Delta State, Ozoro, and now Lagos. Yeah. So now we are here to perform operations for the poor people.
A lot of them interviewed already had been diagnosed with various ailments but lacked the funds to access healthcare services, but are hopeful that they will receive free treatment from the medical mission.
One thing good about this team is they are always trying to, perform as much operations as possible, because the more the number, the better they feel.
On the first day of the free Medicare services, over 500 persons converged from different parts of the state at Ikwegu in Umuahia government area of Abia State, in Umuahia in central Chinwe.
Some commercial taxi drivers in Nigeria have expressed worry over the cost of transiting from petrol-powered vehicles to those that run on compressed natural gas. Some of them spoke to News Central TV in Abuja, the nation's capital, saying the current low patronage and adoption in the country can be attributed to the high cost of conversion and the unavailability of skilled personnel with the requisite technical skills. Marvelous Obomanu tells us more.
Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima, during the National Economic Council meeting on petrol subsidy removal, had assured citizens that the federal government will vigorously pursue the mass deployment of compressed natural gas vehicles in all states of the Federation as palliative measures to ease public transportation. Several months down the line, it is clear that this has not been a reality, and even private transporters have not adopted initiative expected to reduce the cost of fuel for vehicles. Many of the taxi drivers here have harped on the economic benefit of converting their vehicles to compressed natural gas. Some of them have raised a quite number of issues. One is affordability. They've asked how many of them using these taxis for commercial purpose can afford the huge amount of money used for this conversion. Some of them have also talked about expertise, that how many people are in the business of converting these vehicles.
It's very, very economical. But when you see an average driver don't have money to put such compressed gas. And so if government, who has brought that idea, will, of course, give incentive to drivers, we can go on it. And also involve many people to embark on the training. Because it is only when there are so many people that are doing it that the price will be lesser.
So motor no pass 200,000, 300,000 for price. If you carry it, go to convert it, they will tell you to is 200,000, more than that. So to get the money, say if you want, the thing is from individual people. It's not direct from government. So the thing must less, or government put on it so that they will reduce the price. So we too will be taxi people, we get power to do it, but you can't go there. You say now 200, why can I get the money and do it? That's why the thing they ramp up everywhere, my brother.
If government want to help us with the natural gas, they will bring the price down, and they will make sure the people that will mount it, the people that will fix it, they are everywhere. Right now, my friend converted his own for 50,000. Just 450,000. 450,000 is not small money for Nigeria of today.
Although I have not seen it physically, but if I see it, I will be very, very happy, because to my own greatest surprise, if something like that comes to Nigeria, at least we'll be free from all this fuel price that is not stable. That some of us cannot even afford it. If you have 10,000 now, you buy fuel that cannot even, you will not be able to raise up to the 15,000 naira. The fuel will finish. You will now go and start from where you stop. At the end, you go out empty-handed.
With the price of converting these vehicles to compressed natural gas going to about 300,000 to 400,000, Some people are calling on the federal government to subsidize this amount so that the ordinary Nigerian on the street who wants to use his or her vehicle for commercial purpose can actually afford it. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Obomman.
You're still watching News Central now. Coming up after the break. Many dead, 106 injured at senior high school in Yaoundé. We'll bring you more on this when we return. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. News Central now continues in West Africa, where U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken is in Cape Verde and has met with Prime Minister Ulysses Correa e Silva to discuss the partnership between Cape Verde and the United States. Blinken says the partnership is based fundamentally on shared values as well as shared interests and a deep history together. The U.S. Secretary of State is touring 4 democracies on the Atlantic coast, that's Cape Verde, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, and Angola, as security deteriorates in the Sahel and doubts grow about a key U.S. base in coup-hit Niger. In Central Africa, scores of students are reported to have died, while at least 106 others have been injured during a stampede in the Lycée Bilingue de Toubé, located in the political capital, Yaoundé. Now, according to reports, the stampede occurred when students who were late for school rushed to enter the school gate, which had earlier been closed. The situation took a tragic turn. Many students lost their lives on site, while others were rushed to nearby health facilities. Local and national authorities have been mobilized to deal with this unexpected crisis. Medical teams, law enforcement, and psychologists were dispatched to the scene to provide immediate and necessary assistance. Now to some health matters now. Cameroon has launched the world's first large-scale systematic vaccination campaign against malaria. According to the World Health Organization, the mosquito-borne disease kills more than 600,000 people a year, 95% of them in Africa. Children under 5 years old account for more than 80% of deaths on the continent. Permanent Secretary of the Expanded Program on Immunization, Dr. Shalom Duka, says the government sees the introduction of the vaccine as a way of speeding up the achievement of targets aimed at reducing the number of cases of malaria in Cameroon by more than 90% by 2030 compared with 2015 levels. We now move to South Africa, where Kungwini Amalgamated Workers Union, that's KAWU of South Africa, says it will expose non-compliance and fraudulent practices in the private security sector as it intensifies efforts to secure rightful benefits for security officers. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority, that's FSCA, reports reveals alarming statistics indicating over 3,262 companies and municipalities in arrears for pension fund payments, with the private security sector constituting 83% of entities not compliant. The private security sector Provident Fund faces non-payment from 2,224 companies amounting to 6 billion rand. Kumbulani Moyo, KAWU's national coordinator, emphasizes the need for awareness and condemns the inhumane treatment of security officers. It enjoins security officers nationwide to join their fight for improved working conditions. Now, artificial intelligence is already having an impact on educators and students all over the world. While Africa is grappling with connectivity issues, the proliferation of free internet to educational institutions and teachers shortage, among others. Now, Africa is at a crossroad with a unique opportunity to adopt cutting-edge solutions and play an essential role in fostering innovation. Experts predict that various new initiatives will emerge in Africa, demonstrating the continent's ability to lead and shape the future of education using AI. Meanwhile, while AI has the potential to revolutionize education, it will never completely replace the need for human teachers. With all of this going on, the question is whether artificial intelligence can address the teacher dilemma. Now, to discuss this, we are joined by Paresh Soni. He is the academic director at Mancosa. Hello, Paresh. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining me on the news.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, Paresh, how do you envision the role of artificial intelligence, AI, in the future of education, especially in Africa?
That's quite an interesting question. I think the point of departure would essentially be trying to demystify AI as a start and moving from these sort of exaggerated opinions that people have about AI towards more nuanced conversations about AI as a technological tool. And that's really what it is. AI is a technological tool that can be used to assist in various sectors and various fields. Like we are seeing AI sort of transforming and revolutionizing the automotive industry, likewise, it will have an impact on education. But within the context of Africa, I think that we need to err on the side of caution when we speak about the potential impact of AI on education throughout Africa. As I've said, it's a technological tool and it falls within the realm of educational technology. And if you look at the adoption of educational technology, other forms of educational technology across Africa, the adoption rate is relatively low. There are many reasons for this, okay? And I think that when we speak about the impact of AI across education in Africa, we are seeing pockets of excellence, but we are not seeing broad-based impact, broad-based adoption. And towards that end, I think that Africa still has a long way to go in order for it to realize the true benefit of AI in its education.
All right, Paresh, you did say that the adoption rate of AI, especially in Africa, is quite low, and you know, there are no broad-based impact. And you know, while you're still trying to demystify, you know, all people actually, you know, all Africans actually know about AI, I want you to tell us what benefits do you think AI can bring to the African educational system, specifically in terms of improving access, quality, and also inclusivity?
I think that's a very, very important question to unpack. In terms of the benefits that AI can bring to Africa, I think the first fact that we need to acknowledge is that Africa has a very young population. I think that close to 70% of Africa's population is currently under 30. And this is of a total number of approximately 1.4 billion. And that in itself provides a fantastic opportunity for the youth of Africa to actually be involved in the development of AI-related jobs. If we look at estimates of the percentage of jobs or the number of jobs that will actually require digital skills going into the future, we're looking at approximately 230 million jobs in Africa by 2030 that will require some form of digital skills, including AI skills. Right. So in terms of the benefit that AI can bring to education, I think that you've already highlighted some of them. One, it definitely brings a level of personalization of education to everyone that experiences education with AI. Two, I think it makes the education process, or at least the administration of the education process, much more efficient. So the administration driven by AI technology can certainly be improved. And then another big area is the area of academic support. So whether we're looking at primary education, secondary education, tertiary education, AI has the ability, and we've already seen it, the ability to provide customized support for learners, thereby enabling education at scale.
All
And I
right,
think
Paresh,
the
now while
third
you
most
did
important
talk
area.
a lot about, some of the positive aspects of using AI, there's no doubt that there are also negative, aspects, especially the risks and also limitations of relying heavily on AI. But I actually wish we could speak further on this. Time is not on our side. Would actually have to let you go right now. But thank you so much, Paresh Soni, for joining me on the news and discussing this issue.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, now we move to business, where we have Perpetua Fasomi Peter with the latest news.
In business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has said it should prepay future royalties and taxes to the federal government from the $3.3 billion financing deal it got from African Export-Import Bank last year. NNPCL disclosed this in a document titled Frequently Asked Questions, Project Gazelle, released by its Chief Corporate Communications Officer, Olufemi Shoneye, on Sunday night. It explained that the loan would be used by the oil company to support the federal government in stabilizing Nigeria's exchange rate. Providing more details about the deal on Sunday night in the document, the oil company said it adopted a lower price benchmark of $65 per barrel for the $3.3 billion crude for cash loan to reduce the risk of default and ensure financial stability. Brent, the global benchmark for crude, is currently at about $78 per barrel, providing a safety margin for price fluctuations in the future. NNPC has set aside 90,000 barrels of oil for Project Gazelle, guaranteeing a cash flow stream for repayments and expenses. While higher oil prices speed up payback, lower prices could slow it down. And in East Africa, Kenya will need at least 2.4 trillion Kenyan shillings to construct a proposed standard gauge railway (SGR) on the Lamu Port South Sudan-Ethiopia Transport Corridor, called Laspet Corridor. This was stated by Kenya Railways Corporation. According to the parastatal, it would cost 523.05 billion Kenyan shillings to build a 544.4 kilometer standard gauge rail (SGR) link to connect Lamu and Isiolo, and a further 476.7 billion Kenyan shillings, to extend the line from Isiolo to Moyale over a distance of 475.9 kilometers. The largest spending would be on constructing the SGR line from Isiolo to Nakudok town on the border between Kenya and South Sudan over a distance of 753.2 kilometers for 664.65 billion Kenyan shillings. Kenya Railways has estimated that a further 358.8 billion Kenyan shillings will be required to link Isiolo and Nairobi via SGR over a distance of 278.6 kilometers and a further 385.95 billion Kenyan shillings for the 325.35 kilometer stretch between Lamu and Miriakani. Still in East Africa, cargo volumes at Mombasa and Dar es Salaam ports have grown amid intensified competition, with Mombasa touting its efficiency while Dar is offering what it describes as favorable terms. Tanzania this week announced the completion of the $420 million Dar es Salaam Maritime Gateway Project, DMGP, and plans to expand its maritime infrastructure as it opened storage for cargo destined to 4 East African community states. Kenya charges up to $1,200 more per 40-foot container passing through the port of Mombasa. But the attractive package offered by the Dar port has seen it grapple with efficiency challenges, prompting the management to more diverting cargo to the Bagamoyo port. Tanzania Ports Authority TPA Director General Plasdius Mbosa said they planned the construction of 6 new berths in Dar and Bagamoyo through public-private partnership (PPP). Dar es Salaam Port's current performance is low compared with Mombasa, Beira and Durban, forcing major shippers to skip it due to higher anchorage costs. These are the stories we're tracking at this hour. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasomi Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
Now in the world of sports, Super Eagles of Nigeria have qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations knockout round after piping Guinea-Bissau 1-0 on Monday. Nigeria finished in second place with 7 points behind first place Equatorial Guinea, who humiliated Ivory Coast 4-0 to wound up as group winners. Earlier, our correspondent Favor Itwa was live in Côte d'Ivoire, or who is live in Côte d'Ivoire, spoke to us on this development.
Des beaux stades, une belle organisation et une possibilité ici pour Moses Simon, le centre derrière. Oh, c'est terrible! C'est terrible pour la Guinée-Bissau, pour Opasan Gante, sur la toute première réelle possibilité.
Looking at the support we had today, lots of persons that are Nigerians stay around the Felice Ufebuanyi Stadium. It was easy for them to access the stadium. We had more support for the Nigerian side than what we used to have at the Alassane Ouattara Stadium. And looking at what we saw today, indeed, the fans are even excited because the round of 16 will be played right here in this venue. That's talking about the Felice Ufebuanyi Stadium. So it's also going to make more fans come into the stadium because, of course, Alassane Ouattara Stadium is in the outskirts of town and will take about an hour to access the stadium. So you can imagine, the rejoicing and the joy, in the faces of Nigerians in Abidjan, knowing that they can get to support their team with just, little stress, of course, and of course not much of an amount of money in the tournament. It will, of course, affect the fans.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. We told you that President Boakai suffers heat exhaustion after taking oath. We also told you that Nigeria's Chief of Defense Staff advocates broad-based approach to Nigeria's security challenges. And finally, you heard that many dead, 106 injured at senior high school in Yaoundé. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.